Welcome. Today we're going to learn integration by parts and specifically the tabular method. So here we have our example. We're going to integrate x squared times the cosine of x dx. And it looks like we're going to need integration by parts. This is the basic rule for integration by parts, and the key is to figure out what part is u and what part is dv. So we're going to use our Lie rule, and since we have an algebraic and a trig part of our integral, A for algebraic and T for trigonometric in Lie, since the A comes first, we're going to assign u as x squared, and the dv will be cosine of x dx. And I go into more detail on this in other videos. The next step is to identify du, which we do in 3, and identify v, which we do in 5. Once we know those pieces, then we put everything into our rule in 6, and we have what we have in 7. The problem is that we still have an integral that needs integration by parts. So anytime you're repeating integration by parts, you should consider the tabular method if you have the appropriate form. So here I show the form of your integral that makes the most sense for tabular method, and our example is the middle one, the integral of x to the n cosine of ax dx. So let's talk about the actual tabular method. What are we going to do with that? Well, we already know what u and dv are. Then the next step is to create our table. So if you see column 2, we start with writing plus, minus, just alternate back and forth beginning with plus signs. In column 3, we put in a bunch of arrows. In column 4, we start with our u, which in this case is x squared, and we go down the column taking the derivative each time until we reach 0. In column 5, we start with dv, which in this case is cosine of x, and we take the antiderivative or the integral going down that column each time, and we just keep going until we match up with the 0 in the column to the left. And then we're done. Now we actually apply the method. So what we're going to do is we're going to, first I forgot to mention, we do have to add some arrows here. So if you look at column 4 where x squared is, we're going to add an arrow between x squared and the sine of x, and we do that because we go from the x squared to the item below the dv. So we don't make that arrow go across, but we go to the right but one below. And we do that with each term below it as well. Okay, now we're done. We got our arrows. Next thing we want to do is apply the tabular method. So we start at 6. We have our plus sign. We follow the arrow to the right, x squared. We multiply that by the next term if you follow the arrow, which is sine of x. Then you go to 7, and we have a minus sign. Follow the arrow to the right. We have 2x multiplied by minus cosine of x. So that minus sign and a minus, it becomes plus. Then we go to item 8. Follow the plus sign to the arrow to 2, to the other arrow to minus sine of x. And now we are finally done because the next row will be a 0. So we're done at that point. And if you see item 9, we put all that together, add a c, and that's our answer. And that's integration by parts, the tabular method. Now go practice, practice, and practice some more.